Haha. I'm always like, what? Am I live? Am I live? I know. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, friends. There's always so much. I need these though. Sorry. So much glare on those. So, welcome Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we continue our series on Bija mantras, the Bija mantras, and the discussion of the chakras, because these mantras, there's one for each of the spinal chakras, kind of the core chakras. So, and today we're discussing chakra 2. Uh, Chakra 2 is it's the ovaries in women. That's kind of where the chakra is. It's about play and pleasure and ultimately reproduction. um, it's not just sexual, although that's a huge part of it. It's also sensual and playful. um, the element here is water. The the color is orange, kind of a burnt orange color, because if you'll remember, the color for chakra 1 is that deep red. So as we're coming up through the spine and the spinal chakras, this one is orange. um its principle really is about polarity, masculine, feminine, those poles, heaven and earth. um we step into ourselves through the chakra systems, first grounding at the feet, feeling that energy come up to our, deep in the pelvis, where we feel it. And there is a sense of coming into our bodies, right? Into our beings. And as you move up, to the next chakra, and as you solidify, as you ground, as you have your stance of being, right? The next place to go is kind of into a place of movement and flow. And that's what I'm looking at my book here, Svadhisthana, the second chakra, is about. It's about that movement, flow, expansion, and pleasure. Play is also a big thing. So with the Muladhara, we had hold on just a second. I love this part. Where are you, Muladhara? We had a symbol that had 4 parts to it, 4 petals. They're all kind of lotus. All the symbols are lotus inspired symbols. This one on Svadhisthana, it's 6. And you can see where the 4 is expanding into 6, is how I like to look at it. But it's about, again, that sense of flow, stepping into the flow of life, of your body, of you moving through your day, and ultimately, your life in the universe. So, and the masculine expression of it is this, and this is all chakra yoga, because she puts it so well, so beautifully well. Anadea, thank you for you. The masculine is about sort of extending and seeking, in that penetration, both, physically can happen, and then, but also psychologically, energetically, to penetrate into new realms. just remembering we all have masculine and feminine in us, men and women, and it really part of our job to balance the two within for ourselves, to master the properties within, those properties within, so that we become a fully integrated being. The feminine part of this also, it's about the receiving and the attracting, that being attractive part, yielding, and an example is you can go for a goal, right? Like you're doing all the things, the penetration, of towards that goal, right? Extending towards that goal. And if sometimes you just have to let go to really receive that it's coming, or just to kind of give yourself a break, right? And that's, magic can happen during that point. So you have to do both, right? So, if you're deficient in this chakra, um, if this chakra within is deficient, these properties within you have not been developed, you can develop a sense of just stiffness and rigidity. You're not, maybe you're, again, in that more masculine, since this is a feminine chakra. If you're not developing it, if you're, just marching along with your goals and, being quite rigid, I think of, maybe someone who's super, super disciplined, but they're not letting in the play of life and the fun of life. That's what can happen. And if you're excessive, then you don't have that discipline, right? You're playing all the time, you're indulging yourself, you're moving. Excuse me. There we go. You're not doing the action items in your life that are moving you towards goals, ultimately. So the color here is that orange. So take a moment and just close your eyes and think about that sort of orange you see in the sunset. It's a little bit darker than maybe the orange you see on an orange, It's got more of a, rust added to it. Just bring that into your screen. And then scan down, and, last week we were working very deep in the pelvis. We're still deep in the pelvis. You want to come up just a little bit. You're under the belly button. And if you feel back to your back, there's something called the sacral or sacral dimples. This is the sacrum area. If you can draw a line to underneath the belly button. And just notice, like, bringing that orange to your mind's eye, coming down, just feeling what, if you feel sensation in that area. And if you don't, it's fine. And, let's just work the spine here a little bit, but really curling in to get the engagement of the pelvis, and then blasting out. So draw that navel towards the spine, let it guide you back. We'll do this just a couple of times. I'll just start yawning. Ooh, which is good. It's a good sign. And now just notice if you can feel that sensation down there. Again, it's under the belly button. You take the fingers all the way back to those little dimples at the low back, right above the buttocks. And it's in that area. Just feeling that for a moment. Just staying with that for just a few minutes, a few more moments rather. And then open your eyes. So just a bit on the chakra system itself. So it's a tantric concept. So in the West, tantra is associated with, a form of sexual practice. That's all fine. That is part of tantra, but it is a small part. Tantra really, the word itself has so many different meanings, but the one I like the best is, I think it might be Sally Kempton's, one of them. She distilled it more, but really it's a path to liberation, tools for liberation. And the chakras are part of that. And so when you do anything to, kind of think about, not imagine, well, imagine, picture the chakras in your body. That's one of the tools for liberation. And when we talk about liberation, what are we talking about being liberated from? Well, unnecessary suffering, for one. I think Sally Kempton also said that they're tools to have just a greater satisfaction in life. That's awesome. Let's have more of that, please. So, I'm reading from Anadea's book. It came around, tantric period of yoga philosophy was approximately AD 500 to 1000. And, Tantra is really about, when we talk about balancing those masculine and feminine polarities, right, within the self, heaven and earth, spirit and matter, God and goddess. I love what she says, through the integration or weaving. Tantra also means to weave, or a weave, can mean kind of the grand weave of life. I like that, and my yoga has been about that. When it's that concept of even if something feels bad, maybe it's opening the door for something good to happen, right? So if you've ever had to, if you've had a failure and you look back at the failure, you're like, oh, actually, that was a success in disguise or an opportunity in disguise, right? And, Tantra, this grand weave of life, you weave, there's the good strands on the weave, so-called good, there's the bad strands, so it's a principle of non-rejection. You don't reject most things, I'd say. I mean, I think certainly we can, there are evil parts of life, evil practitioners, let's say, as well. We don't necessarily want to embrace them, but, we don't reject that. We have lessons to learn, and we see that that's part of the weave. So tantra is amazing. And she's saying, physiologically, when you're balancing the second chakra, you're feeling a satisfaction, both like your hunger drive is satisfied, your sexual drive is satisfied when this is in balance, when the masculine and feminine parts of it are balanced. Emotionally, you're looking, towards connection and fulfillment. It's that deep sense of wanting to be fulfilled. And I notice in my life, like I can soldier on and do my, the things I have to do, but I will get this sense of rigidity and like, I'm not feeling fulfilled, and I'll just go and find something that I enjoy doing. Any, kind of movement, yoga, dance always puts me back in touch with that. So take a moment, close your eyes, and think about what makes you feel satisfied. Like, oh, okay, I feel satisfied. Could be a great meal. It could be making love with your partner. It could be, dance and play. Think about that for a moment. This is where a lot of, urges come from, this area. So not wanting to shut them down, you're wanting to embrace them and refine them, integrate them, and weave them into the weave of your life, the great weave. If you think about a tapestry, right, and all those threads running through it, some of the threads are about eating good meals, having a great physical relationship with someone, but also, having that connection with them. Spiritually, the urge here is towards higher consciousness, liberation, and connection with the divine. And that, it does. So that urge comes from here, and then it's going to come up energetically, the spine, up to, where you're feeling into the heart, where you long for that connection with whatever creator, creative force you resonate with, to be loved by that, to be, returning back home to that and feeling that within. It starts with the second chakra. Isn't that amazing? I think it's beautiful. Let's see. And this is a big one, a big area for emotion. So emotion, energy, and motion, right? So there's a difference here. I tell my students this a lot, like the difference between sensations and feelings, because it can get kind of mixed up. You know, what are you feeling really has to do with your emotions, right? What are you sensing during yoga, during meditation, during chanting? You know, what sensations are, bubbling up in your body? So again, if there is a deficiency here and you're getting too rigid, or you're like, no, I have to do this and I'm not going to feel this right now. Or, you know, you see people who maybe have lost someone and they bury themselves in their work. You know, the feelings are still there. The emotions are still there, and they need to somehow be worked with, be integrated, be woven, you know. And, you know, sometimes physical activity, yoga, walking, you know, boxing, punching things out, you know, you've seen how that can help move emotion. And emotion is meant to be moved. It will move. And really, this is where our emotions, psycho-spiritually, let's say, begin, is in this second chakra. So it's an important one, right? We ground, we survive with our first chakra. Let's say we step into our beings and declare, I'm here, and then we move up to the next level. What's that next instinct after survival? Is procreation, you know, and eating, but also play and feeling. And so, you know, second chakra, super important. I'm going to say one more thing here. If you do yoga, which I highly recommend, because it isn't just an exercise. I mean, it's great exercise, especially some of the types we have in the West. Even Ashtanga, you know, which comes from India, is a great exercise. But because of the breathing and because of the focus on moving energy and working, you know, the chakra systems, and the poses themselves, you know, there's more there than just the exercise part, especially if you tap into it. So, you know, what I've noticed is if I get contracted, you know, because again, I'm soldiering on, the yoga really, it helps to unlock that in ways that standard exercise cannot. So highly, highly recommend the yoga. And if you're doing yoga, hip openers are a great part of opening and balancing the second chakra, you know, because it's, you know, it's down in the hips. So highly recommend those as well. Just to speak briefly, and we'll do this on Thursday, but to speak briefly about the Bija mantras for this. So the Bija mantra for this chakra, for chakra 2, is, VAM. It's VAM, VAM. But it's, you know, even though there's an A there, it's pronounced like a U. So VAM, VAM. And the resonant sound, you know, we do a clearing first, is ooh, as in pool. Ooh. So we're going to be playing with those, working with those in a playful way on Thursday at 5. But, you know, until then, if you want to recite them silently, play with them, and then again, write in your journal the what happens when you do that. I've done this, experimented with this when I think I'm hungry, but I know I've already eaten. So, what's going on there? And I've had good luck with it balancing that urge, just so, seemingly magically. Um, the same for perhaps being, if I want to get off what I'm doing, um, balancing those, working with those mantras, will balance it and will help me come back into myself so I can move forward with, the work I need to do, for example. So VUM and OO, or OO and VUM, because you do them for the OO first, and just see, and then we're going to actually do it on Thursday. But there's lots out there on the second chakra. Google, ChatGPT can give you amazing information. The Tantra book, amazing. The Tantric philosophy, amazing. And Sally Kempton, also amazing, another author, and really translator of Tantric philosophy. So we'll end here. Let's end here again by just closing your eyes and tapping in to really think about your spine. Think about it running, the base of your head all the way down. And think about your root at your perineum or your cervix. And then come up a little to that sacral area, the sacrum, the sacral dimples, and I always like to circle, energetically, do circles around that area and then reverse the direction. Just bathing that area in that burnt orange color or golden light, if that feels better to you. Now, right hand over your heart, left hand over your right. You can open your eyes. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, thank you. If you like what you're seeing here, please hit the subscribe button so that we can get subscribers. Also hit notification, and that way you'll be notified when new videos are here or coming. We're here on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. and Thursday evenings at 5. So I will see you Thursday, where we will do this practice for the second chakra and journal in the meantime, write down any thoughts that come up. This is your journey, and I'm happy to be on it with you. So thank you again. Have a lovely, lovely day. Namaste.